So let's get into it as we load into Giganitha to start the final series of the day.
Yes, indeed. That is, yeah, you're right. That's not the weirdest thing we've seen today. I mean, yeah, good advertisement for masks, I guess. And ultimately, oh, something's going on. TriGGeR will pause. Something is going lag, of course.
Oh boy,
lag to start. Of course, there would be lag. This is just the Twilight Zone today, Nate.
Yeah, we're in deep. We're in deep, and there's no way out. So let's just go through then.
Hells yeah, let's do it. And this is a Queen Walk map, Nate. So there's that going for us potentially. And Scarlett, that being the person, and the top right hand side of the map for the Shopify Rebellion is very good at Queen Walks.
Yes. And her opponent in the bottom left, we have returning again here at the DreamHack Masters. He is the blue Protoss TriGGeR. Oh yeah. Well, you know what, Cats? If you asked me, if you're like, Nate, you know, can you give us a throwback and complain about something in the game? I would have told you that PvZ with the Queen Walks versus a late game air rush being 90% of PvZs. I would have told you that that's what it is. But today it's pauses. Today it's pauses, and there's few things that I would love to see more than some Queens walk across the map. I guess perhaps the PC just struggles a bit putting out the camera feed while he's gaming.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna steal his name if he keeps this up. And both of the cameras are gonna go away. So, all right, there should be no further hiccups, hopefully. And yeah, I mean, I wonder if that's why his probe scout is so late, because I mean, it's kind of like not the normal probe scout where you actually look to block the hatchery on the low ground, but it's not a later probe scout that looks for information later on. It's kind of an in-between probe scout that really doesn't do much. You know, you're gonna see what you're gonna see. Okay, there's the lag. So maybe
say something.
Is this the servers? I feel like most games have lagged as well.
I don't know. Like I can still move my camera around and stuff. I haven't had anything derp myself, but I just saw it freeze there for a little bit. This happened. Skillos tweeted actually that this happened and it has never happened to him before. But he said that this happened and even his hotkey got unconfigured during that final game in the European portion. So it may not even be an NA server thing. I wonder if, I mean, I guess people playing StarCraft today might experience similar issues. If you have, I guess, let us know in chat, just to know. Well, I know they, there was like a Diablo patch or something like that. So maybe their servers are getting rocked by people logging on or something like that for it. Who knows? We have the Stargate beginning, and that Scarlet Spider senses catch a whiff of this, as it's going to be most likely, what is it? What do you think? But Oracle first or Void Ray first, and then usually the other, and then a third base, and a second Stargate +1. I feel like I'm almost becoming a Protoss player.
You're becoming a Protoss pro, but you're like, what do you think? Here's the 2 or 3 options that they can do to start it.
I'm gonna lie down tonight to go to sleep, and Katie's gonna be like, what do you keep talking about? Second Stargate and +1. What's going on? Yeah. You're like, it is a nightmare. I promise. Definitely nothing. I mean, it's the opposite of a sweet, sweet fantasy baby, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, today is just strange. I mean, maybe it was the Dawson's Creek reference from the Muslim that just broke the internet, but I just don't know what's going on.
Well, that's a fair assessment to bring up as well. The Void Ray is a-coming. We've got 2 adepts just chilling. Scarlett's taking that third base that reaches forward. And if there's anybody that we know who really prioritizes their creep spread, it is her. So maybe that will be the focus, that big type of push. We'll see how much he can do as he gets his adepts into that mineral line. TriGGeR kills 2 drones and loses 2 adepts.
Very surprising shade. I mean, yeah, that was clearly not good, but maybe if TriGGeR gets both of the shades in between the crack and right next to each other, then he manages to kill a little bit more, or at least deny mining for a little bit longer. Surprised that he let it go through, though.
Yes, definitely quite some semi-questionable decision, and he's not going to expand towards his opponent because, well, let's face it, That would just make it a little bit easier for the queens to get there. And obviously, you don't want them to have the booster zone right out front. That +1 is going on the cybernetics core as the adept gets up to block the lings from moving in. And I think, yeah, decent hold position for the adept to not be able to be surrounded on that third. I think the only thing we're missing is the second Stargate, but maybe he's gonna save up and wait a little bit longer before he makes that move.
It's got to be coming, though. I mean, with that upgrade, there is just no point in staying on one Stargate. There's the Forge as well. Nate, if Scarlett does not queen walk, we might be in for a very long game to start.
Yeah, well, that's okay. You know, I do. You know, Cats, I've been doing this football podcast Tuesdays at 6 p.m. I told myself there's absolutely no way that will be in jeopardy, but I think they'll understand. You know, so I'm ready. I'm ready for the long haul, and then I can go to sleep, wake up, and immediately start again tomorrow.
Yeah, this was very, very nice from the Oracle here, even getting an extra one. So very well done from TriGGeR, who is a heavy underdog, like I was saying, going into this match. But that has not stopped many of the players today. And TriGGeR is very, very, very good these days. One of the very few true North American prospects that I think if we were to look at trajectory, like we talk about, like, will Nina show up this season? But Nina has had peaks that are beyond what we would expect of her to show up right now, right? Like she has been at the top. Whereas TriGGeR, this is the best TriGGeR we've ever seen. And look at that. Scarlett wants none of it. She's gonna go for one of those queen walks. This is one of the best maps for it, Nate, and the reason for that is the trajectory of the queens. They'll land somewhere between these two bases, and in controlling the space in between these two bases, you have the option to go to either, and your Protoss opponent has to defend both. So you'll see that there's static defense both in the natural and in the third, and then Scarlett can choose, do I go to the natural or the third? We'll see if this is enough for TriGGeR.
She's gonna begin to engage the Void Rays with the queens. Of course, the Ravagers with the vials can kind of smash down the wall, try to help break down the cannons, and if she's lucky, able to hit the Void Rays. But of course, that's going to boil down to TriGGeR having the position game on point. There is I like that little stasis sword on the wall towards the bottom. So if the Lings move over or try to get a surround on this at all, it will be a little bit of a distraction. There does pop it, but he's just going to bring all the Void Rays right over the queens. Thinks he has enough to just contest it. There really isn't a tremendous number of them here. Another one does show up to reinforce this, but Scarlett changes her attention towards the third. The Lings and the Roaches are going to be able to overwhelm this. But actually, weirdly enough, they all get bottlenecked around that pylon where the Adept is. So by some time does TriGGeR. And the queens are all dead. So now it's just a game against the clock where the Void Rays are going to try and kill everything here before they can take too much damage. But 18 probes killed is still a lot. Losing to third base is still a ton of pain received on the part of TriGGeR. He immediately restarts that third Nexus, and Scarlett will be forced to head back. I think these Lings are going to say, okay, if you want to chase down my Void Rays, or if you want the Void Rays to chase down my Roaches and Ravagers, fine. I'm going to kill you third again.
Yeah, I mean, that was the perfect decision-making from Scarlett. At the start, she actually focused so much on the natural base where most of the defenses of TriGGeR were consolidated, and then almost by sheer luck, she kind of has a look-see at the third. Some of her units spill over to that side, and she sees, okay, there's just one cannon and one shield battery here. So then she forces the issue over there, and of course there were enough Void Rays to take down the queens. I wish that TriGGeR had done that a little bit sooner. There was a moment where he actually kited backwards instead of forward and towards the army of Scarlett. Not that it would have made a gigantic difference, but tiny little blunders. For the most part, a good enough defense from TriGGeR. More often than not, when I see Scarlett, and to be completely honest, Nate, most Zergs do this on this map to a Stargate opening Protoss, they just kind of win most of the time.
Yeah, it's definitely an awkward situation that we've gotten ourselves into, though, because TriGGeR's not going to give up, of course. He's going to rebuild that third base. Does have a bunch of Void Rays. But do you think Scarlett waits, or is this like get Hydralisk speed, let these 4 Overlords open up a bunch of supply and push, or I don't know, you know what, actually she gets another cancel on the third.
Yeah, and that might actually change her plans as far as your question was concerned, to where she might actually be able to hit a timing when she gets maxed before getting too much tech, because initially her plan, I think, was to go for that hive, but now she actually starts pathogen glands from the infestors right away, and she's actually upgrading the Hydra, something that you don't see very often. I think that when she started the Hydra then, after losing all of her queens, she was thinking, man, there's 5 Voidrys or something out on the map, I best get some Hydralisks or something that can shoot at them because all of my queens just died. But now, after denying the third again, I think she has to be feeling more along the lines of, well, my economy is at least like 1/3 better than his, so I'm just gonna mass up units, or at least it should be a consideration that she can mass up units and perhaps hit a timing that's lethal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think that it's the best opportunity window to maybe try and force the issue, but I assume that she also is not interested in this series going longer than it needs to, which would mean losing this game off of another big push like that doesn't work would quite heavily increase the amount of work that she's going to have to do. So taking it a little bit more slowly. The hive is halfway done. We have infestors coming out, +1 missile attack, and Hydralisk range. I don't think you want to fight against Void Rays off creep without the range upgrade. So I totally understand why she would want to wait. Void Rays 7 range, Hydralisk's what? Without the upgrade, it's just 5. So you're really not going to be able to get the position that you want if you're limited in such a way. Especially, look at this. He's got a bunch of zealots and sentries. I like TriGGeR's the one on the offensive now. What?
Yeah, I mean, he has no right to be on the offensive right now. Scarlett should be able to shatter this. For the most part, the spores are also going to help against the Void Rays. The Void Rays now trying to kite on forward. But yeah, that's just not going to work out for TriGGeR. It looks like Scarlett should be able to pump out enough units. 6 Hydras, 3 Roaches, still in production. All of the queens in healthy numbers. And TriGGeR will be forced to GG. And that looks super awkward, Nate. But I don't think that was the worst thing in the world for TriGGeR. I just think what happened there was TriGGeR identified, okay, you just killed my third. And then he hoped perhaps that Scarlett would attack him, like we were thinking she might. So he makes all of these basic units instead of taking up. He makes all of these basic units hoping that Scarlett will attack, and then you force field a lot of the army and you charge onto that army, and maybe you stabilize after holding an attack. But then she doesn't attack. So now you made a bunch of basic units instead of getting upgrades, instead of getting tech. So I don't blame him too much for just trying to go for it.
That makes sense when you put it in that context. Actually, I appreciate you shaping it that way, because in my mind, I'm like, why would TriGGeR attack? What exactly was he expecting here? But if he thought, yeah, he probably did think that Scarlett was just going to push him once she had the Hydralisks, because that was the only thing missing, was just the anti-air. If she had a couple more queens with the first walk, game probably ends in that moment. But yeah, I suppose after he spent the last couple dollars he had on a bunch of zealots and a few sentries, yeah, might as well just eat it all. And well, yeah, here we are. We're in the lobby for 2000 atmospheres. That will be the second map for this ZVP. So Cats, you told me that this isn't the Queen Walk map. Does Scarlett get aggressive here again, or is it turtle time?
The cool thing about Scarlett as a player is that her range of strategy is so wild. She can do just about anything, and she can do stuff that we haven't seen or stuff that we're not used to seeing. So can she get aggressive? If there's a player that can, it's probably Scarlett. But if it wasn't Scarlett playing, I'd be like, probably not. And Queen Walk is pretty bad on this map. And the reason is because, you'll see once the third is situated, but for the queens to walk towards the neutral position between the natural and the third, it is a lot more awkward, and you usually have to go around these little inconveniences around the map, I suppose, to just make it more difficult. Queens don't want to travel longer stretches, obviously. So that neutral position that we see on the last map or on Lightshade, for example, doesn't really quite exist here. In any case, this is in the top right-hand side of the map. The Queen of Blades, Scarlett.
And her opponent in the southwest, the blue Protoss player, is TriGGeR.
It's also a little bit longer just by default too.
Yeah, I feel that. And no, what was it? The bubulus, no bubulus to boost through, or reverse bubulus, well, I guess. I guess the regular bubulus slow you down.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but if we look at the topology, like where the probe is, like in this neutral space that it just crossed between the natural and what would be the horizontal third, it is a nice wide open space, and the bases are far enough from each other that if you could have your entire army here, it would be a great position to take 4 queen walks. The problem is how awkward it is to walk for the queens to get to that position in the first place. Usually it's much easier to hit from the entrance of the third, or to hit from the entrance of the lower ground third, right? Like the horizontal or the triangle third. Like those normal openings are going to be the much quicker paths for the queens.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the excellent breakdown of why I should abandon hope on Scarlett going for a big push early on in this one. Maybe there'll be a different way that she tries to do it.
Yeah.
And well, I guess maybe that's in the world where Void Rays aren't so good defensively against everything. That isn't a queen walk. So we'll just have to wait and see which direction it goes. What maybe TriGGeR will do is adept beams again. There's the first adept starting up, and I assume we'll have that Stargate when he gets the gas for it.
Yeah. So cool things that we don't see often that Scarlett could try and do. Maybe we can jinx it. Maybe we can magic it out, because this day has been magical enough. Then maybe we can will some cool stuff into existence, but maybe like +1 melee links can be pretty good against targets. A Nidus Worm is always a strange possibility that's difficult to pull off against Void Rays, but not impossible perhaps. Kind of close to impossible. Or a Muta switch, right? Like a bunch of Muta to answer Void Rays before they're unscouted. Stuff like that can work.
Yeah, I appreciate you trying to make it seem like there are builds that can be aggressive versus a Protoss that opens Stargate in this meta, Cats, but it's okay. We know.
Tough sell.
We know. There's only a couple of ways that these usually end up going. The first Void Ray is on the way out for TriGGeR, so we can expect, again, clear the Overlord, take the third base, put a pylon there, put an adept between the pylon and the Nexus, second Stargate, +1, gas on natural, boom, boom, and we're off to the races. As these adepts are going to go back over to the natural.
No.
Is he going to let them finish? No, not this time.
Yeah, at least this time it was an even worse call, right? Because he wasn't anywhere close. Those mineral cracks. So Overlord will spot that it is indeed a Void Ray opening. Links are on the other side of the map nearly, but 2 adepts tucked between the Nexus and the pylon should be enough. Scarlett will spot that the third is not horizontal, but rather triangular, and I'm not sure if that gives her any hopes to do something about it. She is potentially playing from a friend's place, Nate, so maybe she does have a little bit of an urgency.
She's got some stuff to do. Well, I mean, I think that's a fun part of the conversation whenever we get to cast Scarlett, because she's usually somewhere that isn't like home. So I don't know if she's in America or she's playing from the East Coast. I typically assume as such, but it is getting a little bit late over there. So if you're over a friend's house, that's when people are like, "Yep, we've got plans, got stuff to do." Oracle's gonna fly behind the natural, try to get a little Stacy going, and gets just one drone.
Yeah, that's gonna be completely fine. A lot of airspace behind these bases, so another one.
Yeah,
you saw that lag spike, yeah?
Yeah, I saw that lag spike.
Yeah, that's gotta. Yeah, I don't know. That must be the server at this point or something. I don't know. Some supernatural force. Another Stargate coming down from TriGGeR as well.
These Void Rays, they're there. Push the Lings back. Second Stargate's about to finish. +1 is also coming in behind. There's the Roach Horn you were talking about. Nice and done. And I guess we probably won't have much more of a commitment coming out until we see the lair finish, and we'll find out what direction Scarlett wants to go. We don't have any evolution chambers. There are no upgrades being researched at this point, so it's still pretty wide open. The 4 queens are already at this hatchery, ready to defend it. Oracle almost dies, barely slips away. 2 Void Rays say, nope, not going to try and make anything happen there. But the third base is done, right? You're like, okay, 3 base Protoss versus 3 base Zerg. The 4th base is coming up for the Zerg, but you know, we've had, I think even Mana, a bunch of the Protosses that we've seen today that have played these PVZs, if they don't feel like they can do anything early, they just take that 4th immediately. Yeah. So that's where my expectations go next for TriGGeR. If you're not worried about getting pushed right now, then, you know, just keep ramping up that economy for that the Giga late game.
Yeah, most definitely. And he did, or he is adding extra tech. I mean, that's what he did last game too. Obviously, last game, very different circumstances. He had already taken a lot of damage from the Queen Walk and then 2 additional ignites onto his Nexus at the 3rd. Not the case this time around. So yeah, actually, yeah, Fleet Beacon, and there is that 4th that you were talking about, while dropping a Robo Bay as well, potentially for Disruptors. But Scarlett already heading into her own lair, or hive rather. So she's gonna have a prompt answer to potential Disruptors or Colossi, both of the options from that. What is that building called? The bay thing. Jesus, the
Robo Bay.
Right.
Yeah. It's another one of those little ones, but yeah, I mean, this actually, I really do feel like sometimes when I'm casting StarCraft, it's like a fever dream, because this is exactly like there was one of the series earlier where it was like, okay, 4th base a bit faster because there's no Queen Walk this time, but straight to carriers, gonna get a couple Disruptors just in case.
Yeah,
and that's what this game has turned into. So it's going to be like much more quickly into the later stage, versus, you know, staying really committed and dedicated on the Void Race, while the Zerg player just gets all of the tech, just gets all of the things. The Spire's coming in, the Hive's done, Infestors are out. 1-1-1 is being researched as far as the upgrades go. There's the Vanling Nest. Did we miss anything? Hydralisk Den, maybe. I'm sure we'll have Adrenal Gland started in the next 10 seconds.
Yeah, we're about good. That's just about everything. I mean, there's gonna be the Infestors as well, like you were mentioning, with their pathogen glands, and that makes me think that maybe Scarlett is willing, because of her number of queens, to fight a little bit more on the ground and use the pooper clouds to kind of engage on the ground, right? Because there isn't Storm available. Disruptors are going to be wildly effective against that, but there should be Vipers coming up as soon as the Hive finishes, and there is the first couple of Vipers.
There they are. TriGGeR moving across the map with just 2 carriers and 5 Void Rays. Yeah, second Spire starts up, and we don't have the Spire units yet, right? That's still the first Spire with that. That's going to be finishing. So there wasn't really like a threat of getting jumped by Corruptors, but if he pushes in, and look at how many Queens and Infestors there are, a couple Fungals on those, and these Queens they'll be having a field day. She's building the Spore Crawler Field of Dreams at the 3rd now too. So really locking down these bases from the harassment options.
Yeah, and I'm not convinced that she's going to be making Corruptors for a little while. In fact, she's adding extra drones. And like I said, her ground army is so hefty that you might as well use the Infestor's ability, the Poopy Clouds. And with that, I think that she can take engagement still. Like, that's something that Dark has shown as a style time and time again, as an option, as an alternative to Corruptors. So I wouldn't mind Scarlett just getting the air upgrades now that she's going to have a second Spire coming up. And then switching onto Corruptors after clearing supply, after a couple of fights go her way, or at least they're straight enough that justify making Corruptors, because, you know, there's enough carriers left over and not that many Void Rays or something like that. But 7 Corruptors on the way, so never mind.
Yep, the Corruptors are coming out. +2's finishing for TriGGeR's air. And I think Scarlett is getting every last upgrade that is possible for her to get in the game at this point. We got the air upgrades coming in, Baneling speed, the rest of the Lings, the 222. And I don't mind that there's like an Immortal and some Zealots that get mixed into this. Most of the army comps we've seen have been purely air, and at most a handful of Templar or Archons underneath. But this is something that can actually get in the face of those Queens a little bit, since we don't have the Broodlords on the table just yet. So I don't actually mind this. Comes forward. The Storms are going to land on the Shrouds, so making the most possible use of that potential damage. Lots of Transfuses do get burned on this. Link's going for a counter attack on the 4th and the natural, but TriGGeR's got a lot of Zealots that he's been warping in to defend against this. And we hit the Giga lag spike. Is someone's name going to pop up?
Becky.
Yep.
But this has been fantastic from TriGGeR, to be honest. I mean, on the defense as well, to cover all and plug all those holes against those circling and Baneling Rambis from Scarlett. He is doing a fantastic job. Now Scarlett reinforcing mostly with Corruptors, which is exactly what she needs. There is a couple of Void Rays and still 2 Archons remaining, but things are looking very, very good for TriGGeR. 40 supply ahead right now. Now the Corruptor's dancing around and trying to take out these key units. The Archons, unfortunately, one of them too far forward, the other one trying to help out, focusing things as the Corruptors turn their attention to that Warp Prism. Will prevent any Stalker Warpins to deal with them, but the ground army of TriGGeR might just be enough. Scarlett trying to do the best that she can, getting those amazing Fungals. I mean, you can't get more value out of Fungal than that, but it's not going to be enough simply. And TriGGeR with the start of an upset and a map that we predicted, at least Zombie Grab a Night. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I predicted TriGGeR 2-1, so I don't know what you're talking about.
I guess you definitely predicted a map. You predicted two maps. Yeah, we definitely predicted. Yeah,
I went too meta with my curse, and that's now it's reversing back unto itself to punish me for trying to to mess with the laws of space-time.
Yeah, I mean, you can't get ahead of it, right? Like if you think you know what's gonna happen, you don't. That's just the rule.
Well, you know what? That's also just a really beautiful way to describe American StarCraft in general. As soon as you think you know what's happening, that's when you discover that you're actually using like magnet boots to walk on the ceiling, and you've been upside down the whole time. You didn't even realize it.
Yeah, I mean, we probably are upside down, or at least sideways, right? The chances are higher of that than anything else if we really think about it. So
yeah, TriGGeR says he thinks he fixed it. Says his internet does this all the time. So I guess he just has probably just, I mean, unless you live in a nice spot in a city, usually in the US, the internet is very mixed bag. So I understand what that's like. That can definitely be frustrating to deal with. So says he thinks he's got it a little bit sorted out. They were checking the servers and whatnot before we got the lobby made for this one. So we're going to go to Blackburn for game 3, which another great defensive map, Cats. So go fish.
Go fish. Yeah, I mean, it might be the case that we go for a longer game. At least that longer game wasn't a mega long game. It was kind of like TriGGeR hitting a strong timing with his air army, kind of like what we were hoping Mana would do with his advantage. Only TriGGeR didn't have such advantage against Scarlett. And this was a Scarlett that was already, I think, at least for my taste, doing better than what she did against Neeb, for example, in the season finals, where she was getting every upgrade that we saw her get, plus Ultralisks, plus upgrades for the Ultralisks and such. So she wasn't as spread thin, and yet still TriGGeR had just enough to make her pay. So we'll see if he can do a repeat of that and complete the full upset for the day that has had the most upsets in history. Coincidentally, the longest game of broadcasting history. In the bottom left-hand side of the map, the man who may no longer lag, but as soon as I say that, I know that he will, and as soon as I know that he won't, there's no end to it. It's TriGGeR. There's the lag. Killed me.
Yeah. Yeah, only you have to get me first, Cat. Sorry, that's the rule.
Yeah, look, that drone is spitting on the hatchery. Or pooping, perhaps?
I mean, what ended up happening? Like, I think all the DNS servers lost their routing to like a million different intranet like sources and whatnot, and
that was the massive
website outage yesterday and all that. There's this kind of stuff I feel like has been happening on a lot of US servers for at least once or twice a month now for like this pretty much the whole last year. So I can't say that I'm crazy surprised. It is unfortunate that there are some issues and whatnot, but we're making through it. Scarlett says TriGGeR says I have 1,000 ping. How can I? Scarlett says just make void rays, smiley face.
Yeah,
now they're both
just
saying
I'm lagging too. How can I just make void rays? That's too good. All right, so we are resuming. What a day! What a day! Yeah, we're just laughing frantically. Today,
every time
we need to do the intro. Do the intro.
Yeah, let's do the intro. Let's get this. We got the fancy graphics. The people work hard. People working hard behind the scenes too.
Yes.
In the bottom right, a Red Zerg player. She is Scarlett.
Hells yeah. But yeah, today has been crazy enough that it broke Zombie Grub. I never see Zombie Grub just randomly laughing frantically, but today did it, Nate. It was awesome.
Wow. She's a real champ hosting, you know, not having to cast any of the games to like force you to bring your heart rate up and stuff like that. It's hosting can be pretty exhausting. I'll be real with you, cats. And anytime they ask me if I want to host or cast, I always say cast, because sometimes if I'm hosting and an hour and a half PVZ happens, I'm like, I have zero energy when we come back to the desk and they're like, now we're back here with Nate, and I'm like, oh my god, I was just watching, you know, swarm hosts get killed by siege tanks for 3 hours. But no, she's been doing a real good job with that. She's been a champ. Shout out to Fear Dragon, who I think he did his first hosting day recently as well.
He
that
did
was
great.
Cool to see. Yeah, the Zombie Group can definitely say that she's a seasoned host veteran now, having made it through today. So
yeah, a very strong host. Yeah, both of them are actually so good with structure and such. It's really easy to be a caster when they're hosting. But now we have a probe being chased by 2 Zerglings, and that's about it.
But we know where this is going, cats. We know where this is going, cats. So I'm going to ask you a question. What's your Halloween outfit? Let's pretend that you're going to a Halloween party, or I don't know, that they're not all canceled or something.
So what would be my Halloween outfit is what you're asking.
Let's assume you have infinite budget. Let's get funky. What would you do realistically? Let's say you've got like $500. Let's say you got like $500 max you could spend.
$500 max
with no consequence. It doesn't affect your bills. If you want to do something fancy, you want to get a fake laser sword, go for it.
I feel like it has to be something Latino, you know, like I don't think I can do like a Dracula, like a brown Dracula. Because I'm brown. Like Dracula is supposed to be super pale and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
So you can put your own spin on it,
I guess.
Hey man, it's your life, bro. If you want to be Dracula, be Dracula.
But maybe, but that's the thing, is I don't want to be Dracula.
Why did you bring up Dracula?
I don't know, because I feel like Dracula a little bit right now, I guess, like a little bit undead. You know, like I need some like suck on some blood to get some of my life forces back. It's been too long since you've fed. Yeah, I feel that. They don't have True Blood over there where you're at. No, but Dracula on Netflix was actually pretty good. Did you watch that one? I enjoyed it.
Which one? The Castlevania one?
No. Actual Dracula. No. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah.
No, I've only seen the one with Keanu Reeves.
Oh, that sounds terrible.
Bruh. Let me tell you. Okay, I got some good. There are some good movies to check out. All right.
Okay. Well, yeah. You'll tell me all about it.
With that, it's not
Keanu Reeves.
One.
I mean, Keanu Reeves is on The Matrix. Yeah. For that, he gets my respect forever.
The thing is, a bunch of those guys in like the late '80s, early '90s did a ton of really cool, like actual, pretty true to source material movies about like Shakespeare stuff. You know, Frankenstein, Dracula, all that jazz before they were doing the big Hollywood things. So you can find a lot of really quality literature-based films because those guys did not say no to doing that stuff. It's pretty awesome.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I guess everyone has to work their way up somehow. Even Keanu Reeves. Yeah.
What a base god. Oh, hey, there's the second Stargate +1. So we've managed to not miss anything yet.
Yeah.
We're doing it. We're doing it.
Yeah, indeed. There's roaches on the side of Scarlett, which is a little bit interesting. I mean, the map does lend itself to defense. Roaches can be rather aggressive, and Ravager, Roach, maybe a much later queen type attack could be on the cards, though we don't see additional queens being added. Scarlett might just be faking this. I don't believe that she's going for it. Like everything says that she
hasn't started a lair.
Yeah, you're right. She's going for it. This is crazy.
Okay. But one way or another, we will get off this train, cats.
I guess. I mean, this is probably the worst possible map for something like this. The queens just walk through slow zones. They're gonna go to a far away base. You can't really easily attack into the natural because there's a ramp. So I mean, the only advantage that Scarlett has is that it's so bizarre, such a bizarre attack that TriGGeR's not gonna expect it. So you know, he's not fully well set up here. Cannon's now going up.
Yeah, he's got +1 is done for his Void Rays, so he's got that going for him, which is nice. But this is a ton of Ravagers. I don't know what exactly this looks like. If it's just like, okay, kill the third base again, and then we wait for TriGGeR to just build another, 10 charge lots and A move through. But Ravagers pushing up the natural ramp while the Queens keep the Void Rays distracted. More Queens, by the way, this time than the last game. So Scarlett, she kind of recognized what she was missing. Files are going to come down on the pylons. Batteries have been unplugged. Figure out what that means.
Yeah, I mean, the Ling Rambai in the main is doing something. At the same time, on the third, has battery overcharge even been spent yet? I didn't think so. Maybe there's not enough energy for it. I have seen no touchscreen battery.
Halfway.
Yeah.
It's halfway through the cooldown right now.
Oh, damn.
So, third base is super dead.
Powered. And we have a little bit of an issue, a little bit of a similar situation to the first game as well, where it seems like TriGGeR might hold this, will hold this. I want to be as bold as to say, but the problem is he might have taken enough damage that it won't matter. This little Ling Rambai is doing way too much. The rest of the army of Scarlett will be fended off, and if I'm TriGGeR right now, I'm thinking I'm gonna pack up everything, cross the map, and try to kill him.
Go.
Yep.
Full steam ahead.
Yeah, 25 workers have fallen.
Throw every piece of firewood into the fireplace. Let's go. Let's get a... Well, no. You couldn't really have a bonfire in a fireplace. That would be way too dangerous. You should do it somewhere out in the open and clear where it's safe. But that's what he wants to do anyway.
All right, Scarlett has a Spore here and there, but remember, there's Prismatic Alignment Void Rays. If they so choose to just glance at a Spore and activate at once, it will go down quickly. Instead, he's not going to activate in favor of staying more maneuverable to turn around, bait these Queens up the ramp, and then engage. I don't mind that, actually. Kind of a forehead move from TriGGeR here. He still has Prismatic Alignment. Doesn't need to use all of it at once, but he will. Now go to the lair. No, what?
Why did he cancel it? Why did he turn Prismatic off?
What?
Just click on the lair, bro. You got this.
Yeah, or the other Spore. Either way, it's kind of working out. It's kind of working out, but I'm completely with you. I think if you turn on your Prismatic Alignment with all of your Void Rays out of nowhere, you might as well just go for at least a second Spore, but if not, just get the lair as well. And this is not looking too bad for TriGGeR, though 2 more Spores will make their way here. Now Hydras are popping up, and we see what Scarlett was fearing in the last game and why she went for that Hydra then in the last game. Will it be enough this time around?
Oh,
the corrosive bile, the Ravagers.
So many
Scarlett is so cute with her micro, I think. I love when Scarlett does the trickier things that most players don't think to do plainly, because she does things like biles on the floor and then walks her Ravagers over to where the biles are, just to make it seem like there couldn't be a set of biles there, right? And then she moves away in the last second, or she continues her path. So there's a higher chance that the Void Rays will kind of just fall for it a certain way. But now it looks like Scarlett is starting to stabilize. TriGGeR has been producing some probes, so he's only going to be lagging 10. And with his third re-established, this is a game that is not done by any means.
Damn it, I was hoping you would say something other than that, Cats. That's okay. That's okay. Scarlett's going to take that gold base. Yeah. He's going to keep building Void Rays. I mean, he does have his third. He's taking the gas on it. So at this point, I guess I'm just wondering, is he like, when's the fleet beacon coming in? Stargate number 3, right? One of the batteries in the natural is still unpowered, which as these Void Rays continue to poke and prod, and that's still kind of, I've never really thought about it, to be honest, Cats. But why does a battery need external power? How does that, That's like if you needed a generator to run a generator. You know what I mean? Well, like, has anyone ever really thought about this, or am I crazy?
Yeah. No, I don't think you're crazy. But I mean, if you look at the Nexus, though, like whatever crystal is at top of it, I mean, it's probably a stronger generator that is generating that power for the battery. I mean, just look at that crystal at the top. It's floating. I mean, that's gotta take a whole lot of power.
You don't think the thing on top of the shield battery is a floating crystal?
Oh, that's fair enough. Yeah, but that seems more like it's not a floating crystal. It seems like more technological. I don't even know what I'm trying to say anymore.
I'm reaching on this, but Scarlett's about to reach over with a whole lot of Hydralisks and try and grab these Void Rays out of the air. I mean, this is a pretty ludicrous number of Hydras, right? And the Queens are coming too. Void Rays are going down left and right. Scarlett looking to put an end to this very long day as the Queens approach the third base.
There's a disruptor that's going to be started just now, but it's far away from completion, obviously, and the battery overcharge has already been spent. So yeah, this is looking grim now for TriGGeR, who is gonna get completely shattered at his third expansion. And I think, Nate, this will mark the end of today as far as StarCraft is concerned. TriGGeR is almost out of outs here. He is making one disruptor that's probably keeping his hopes alive, but you would need the best disruptor shot in the universe to make this happen. 2 Force Fields are gonna buy a little bit of time for that disruptor, and actually that gateway falling in a certain way will actually enable the potential for the disruptor to hit center mass on this entire army as it goes up the ramp. Nope, never mind, it will just fall unceremoniously, and with that, TriGGeR has to be thinking GG.
And there